Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's everything you need to know this rush hour of January 24, Friday. I'm Royce Snagi. Jump-starting today's rush with airport authorities suspending all direct flights to and from Wuhan, China as health precaution from the novel coronavirus. Stricter screening procedures in the Philippine airports are now also in place. Ria Fernandez has the report.
It was past 1:30 p.m. on Wednesday when Cebu Pacific Flight 5J111 from Hong Kong touched down at NAIA Terminal 3. Hong Kong authorities confirmed that among the passengers were 4 family members of a Chinese national diagnosed with the 2019 novel coronavirus. The Philippine government was able to trace his kin.
Walang sakit sila. So wala namang need for us to do any tests on them or to admit them or to hold them in isolation.
Passengers of the Cebu Pacific flight were screened by the Bureau of Quarantine, with no one held for further observation. Meanwhile, a Filipina flight attendant coming from Wuhan, confined for cough, was already discharged. She placed herself under self-quarantine while the DOH awaits for her test results. Passengers from China are now strictly required to undergo disinfection.
To check if you had a fever, I think everyone was just wearing like a mask just to make sure.
Pa-landing na po, nag-announce po yung mga cabin crew na may i-spray daw po yung pero hindi ko siya naano kung ano talaga yung ni-spray na yun eh. Pero parang sinasabi nila sa health daw yun, yung ni-spray na yun. Tapos pagbaba dito na sa yun na nga po, yung ini-scan po. About sa bad temperature.
The DOH said the nCoV is not as deadly as SARS and MERS.
What we see now with the nCoV, with the 2019 nCoV, is it's not fatal. No? I mean, for most patients, it's not fatal. There have been a report of 17 fatalities out of more than 540 cases. So the strategy now of WHO really is to make sure lang that when it does spread and when it happens, that we are able to isolate.
The agency, together with the Civil Aeronautics Board, the Bureau of Quarantine and airline representatives decided to suspend all flights from Wuhan, China. 2 airlines currently service direct flights to Wuhan, Pacific Air and Royal Air.
We will continue to monitor the situation in coordination with the Department of Health regarding the other cities in China. And we will act as may be warranted by the situation.
Inbound and outbound flights from mainland China and other countries reported to have cases of coronavirus have not been halted. Strict screening of passengers is still in place.
They have developed standard practices already in terms of the airline doing screening, doing documentation, and other records keeping system.
For News 5, Ria Fernandez, we are One News.
The health department is dispelling rumors that the 5-year-old boy from Wuhan, China has tested positive for nCoV. In fact, health officials say he's starting to get better. Gemma Vansenia with the details.
The 5-year-old boy, initially thought to be the country's patient 0 of the new coronavirus, may soon be up for discharge. The kid, who hails from the virus origin in Wuhan, tested positive for coronavirus. But in his surveillance examination Thursday, the child tested negative for 2019 nCoV.
The boy is currently stable with no fever, cough, and other signs and symptoms associated with the 2019 novel coronavirus observed in Wuhan. The boy is still confined and under isolation while awaiting for the test we sent out to Research Institute for Tropical Medicine.
But he's not in the clear yet. The DOH is still waiting for the results of his confirmatory test from Australia.
The sample is now in Melbourne, in Australia. Depending on the laboratory, we expect results within 24 to 48 hours. So ang pinaka-early would probably be by tomorrow afternoon.
Should he test negative, that's one problem off of the health department's shoulders. But the kid's case exposes another dilemma: the inefficiency of thermal scanners, including those at the Cebu International Airport, in detecting the carriers. This was precisely the case of the kid and his mother, who left the airport undetected, even reaching their lodging in Cebu.
For this particular case, unfortunately, fortunately, we reviewed the BOQ camera thermal scan, and when they passed the thermal scan, they were actually negative for fever. So, both of them? Yes. So wala siyang fever. But the child was feeling sick na in Guangzhou pa sila. Thermal scan is enough to quarantine. Now, pwede tayo malusutan, as what we mentioned, no, for this particular case. No? That's why we also coordinated with our hospitals.
The patient remains in isolation at the Vicente Soto Memorial Medical Center, where he has been under observation since January 12. He is still waiting for Health Secretary Francisco Duque's clearance for discharge. The DOH remains on heightened alert while waiting for the boy's confirmatory test. For now, authorities remind the public to stop spreading fake news on social media and to be careful in sharing information about the virus. For News 5, Jam Avansania, we are One News.
Over in China, 3 cities are now on lockdown as authorities seek to contain the rapidly spreading novel coronavirus, leaving some 20 million people stuck within restricted zones. These cities include Wuhan, which is considered the center of the deadly virus outbreak, and the city of Guangdong and Izhou. This after the number of infected people went up to 634 people overnight. Aside from this, Beijing has also canceled major New Year temple fairs and even a number of film releases to avoid large crowds that could further spread the disease. But where the virus started is still a question that begs to be answered. Right now, some reports online are saying the mysterious illness from China may have come from eating wild bats. That's right, bat soup is apparently a popular delicacy in the city of Wuhan. According to Kenyan news site The Standard, bats could be a natural host to the coronavirus. The World Health Organization has put off declaring the new coronavirus an international health concern, saying it's too early to say. Despite health officials fearing an accelerated rate of virus transmission amid Chinese New Year celebrations, the WHO says China has been taking appropriate measures. Still, the WHO says it's no time to be complacent.
I'm not declaring a public health emergency of international concern today. Make no mistake, this is, though, an emergency in China. But it has not yet become a global health emergency. It may yet become one.
Here are the biggest stories from the dailies. Filipino Star ngayon reports that the Transportation Department has alerted all ports of entries in the Philippines amid the continued threat of the novel coronavirus in the country. That's on top of the influx of Chinese passengers expected because of the Lunar New Year tomorrow. The Civil Aviation Authority, the Manila International Airport, and the Philippine Ports Authority have therefore assured that they are coordinating with the Health Department and are implementing stricter measures to screen their passengers. A weaker peso also comes as a result of the ANCOV scare as investors choose to buy more dollars amid the perceived potential economic impact of the virus. Business World reports that the local currency traded at 50 pesos and 98 centavos against the dollar, down from its previous closing price of 50 pesos and 91 centavos. And this from the Philippine Star, the Health Department says there are still no confirmed cases of NCOV in the Philippines. In the meantime, the DOH reminded the public to remain vigilant against potential respiratory tract infections by maintaining good health and proper hygiene. Some good news to hold on amid the Taal unrest. PHIVOLCS says there is now only a 30% chance of a major eruption of Taal volcano. However, PHIVOLCS Director Renato Soludum says residents are still advised to stay in the evacuation centers.
Nandiyan na yung magma sa ilalim at so ang tanong dyan, tutuloy pa ba siya o titigil muna siya? Sa history ng Taal volcano, ulitin ko lang, hindi pa rin nagtatapos yung kanyang istorya. Kasi minsan may mga pagitan ng buwan o taon ang pagitan ng mga eruptions, lalong-lalo na nandito na yung magma na nag-resupply.
Batangas is now on the road to recovery as the chance of a major eruption of the Taal volcano grows slimmer by the day. Jenny Dongon with this story.
It's been close to 2 weeks since students at the Colegio de Batangas last set foot on their school ground. Since Taal volcano erupted on January 12, classes have been disrupted in the entire province. But Governor Dodo Mandanas has now given the green light for the resumption of classes in colleges and universities outside the volcano's 14-kilometer danger zone. But classes in secondary and primary levels remain suspended.
Yung risk of eruption, 30% na lamang muli. Okay? At narinig nyo, yung number of tremors bumaba. At yung earthquake sa Mabini, kahiwalay.
But despite the school assuring preparedness for the worst-case scenario, students still fear for their safety.
Need prayer talaga na maging safe kasi especially nasa third floor kami. And then kailangan po maging alert na lang din kami kung whatever man po yung maging announcement regarding po dun sa sa volcano.
Over at the Batangas State University, classes will resume on January 27 instead, as most students live within the 14-kilometer danger zone. But it's not only schools. Establishments are now back in business, including those in Tagaytay.
Pagbukas nito ay more on humanitarian consideration dun sa mga nawawala ng trabaho.
But it's going to be a slow road to recovery for the once booming businesses. This garden was severely damaged by the ashfall. That plants had to be sold at a discount. This meat vendor likewise had to work overtime. He used to sell out by 5 in the afternoon, but now he has to keep his shop open until 9.
Di ka na napunta ang mga mahimili. Dati buto-buto 270. Ang laman ay 320. Ngayon yung bababa na.
143 Tagaytay establishments, including 23 accommodations and 92 restaurants, are now operational, with most taking baby steps to recovery. For News 5, Jenny Dongon, PR1 News.
Cabinet officials are recommending a total permanent ban within the 14-kilometer danger zone around Taal volcano, but this could mean displacement of up to 1 million people from several towns around Taal Lake. Marian Enriquez with the story.
Taal volcano's eruption has affected more than 300,000 individuals, putting life in most part of Batangas at a standstill. Because of this, the president has asked Congress for a 30 billion peso supplemental budget. In an interview with the chiefs, Health Secretary Francisco Duque III said it would be wise to use the budget for permanent relocation sites.
You spend billions for these band-aid solutions.
Yes.
And then, they go back to more strategic solution. Permanent relocation. Get them out of the 15-kilometer danger zone.
Duque noted majority of cabinet members agree with this. The Science and Technology Department has also recommended the implementation of a hazard-sensitive land use plan to determine areas where human settlement should be banned.
So, kung delikado, napakadelikado tulad dito at yung mga lapit sa Taal Island, dapat walang tao, either gagamitin mo yung lupa sa ibang pamamaraan.
But PHIVOX admits that execution will be a challenge.
Saan mo ililipat ang 300 to 400,000 na tao? Saang lugar ang mas ligtas?
Residents are split.
Payag na rin po kami dahil sa seguridad.
So hindi po kayo pabor?
Hindi po.
Bakit po?
Nandun po kami hanap buhay
Batangas Vice Governor Mark Levista said that the LGU will still have to look into the proposal.
The provincial government is ready to provide land and develop housing if needed to develop a alternate community or even relocation site.
Governor Dodo Mandanas, meanwhile, appealed to local leaders and their constituents to strictly follow the lockdown policy. Mandanas even assured residents that the government will handle the purchasing of their surviving livestock.
Bibilhin ang mga hayop na nasa pulo, isla ng Taal, Volcano, buhay o patay. Ano? Yung mga hayop na nasa 14 kilometers, bibilhin pagbuhay lamang.
Mayors of the affected areas are also asking the province to give them 2 million pesos each in initial assistance. But Mandana said they will first study the request. For News 5, Marian Enriquez, we are One News.
President Rodrigo Duterte has expressed his intent to decline the invitation of U.S. President Donald Trump to attend the special ASEAN summit in the United States. That's because Duterte is unsure if he will be given a U.S. visa or if he, along with his delegation, will be allowed entry once he's already there. Palace says Duterte is also concerned that some U.S. senators would be unhappy seeing him there because of the 2020 U.S. budget law denying entry to Philippine officials responsible for the detention of Senator Laila de Lima. Here's something to look forward to later today. Despite the looming threat of the novel coronavirus, preparations in Binondo are now in full swing for the Chinese New Year countdown. Expect live performances from local artists along with the traditional dragon dance later at the Chinatown. And that's how the day is shaping up to be. Join us again next time for another round of Rush. For Risa Diaz, I'm Royce Snagit. We are One News.